Hi there, welcome to the channel. Today's video, I want to share with you visually impaired cooking techniques that I have learned and kind of refined over the years in countless meals. And well, as a matter of fact, today we're going to discuss how to make a fluffy egg white omelet. Now, a lot of people like omelets. Some people like them with the yolks. Some people just like the egg whites. And a lot of times people avoid making the egg white omelet, especially someone with low vision, because they don't know how to separate the yolks from the whites without making a big mess or getting eggshells in there and whatnot. For you guys, I've got a tip for you I believe you're going to really enjoy. And in addition to that, I'm going to share with you some carefully guarded secrets about how exactly to make your omelets light and fluffy. Sound interesting? You like a good omelet? You're going to love this one. Stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. As promised, today we're going to discuss a few visually impaired cooking techniques and discuss how to make a fluffy egg white omelet. So, with no further ado, let's try and get into it here. First things first, I've got my skillet on the stove. I've got it preheating, and I want to start at a medium-low heat, 250, 275 degrees, something like that. So while the skillet is coming to temperature, I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick trick as to how to separate the egg whites and the yolks. Starts with a little shot glass. I like using my stainless steel bowl because of the visual contrast. And I'm digging for my whisk. There we go. So the simple trick is pretty much take and put the shot glass in the middle of the bowl. The eggs have been warmed up. Well, in other words, they've been sitting out in the refrigerator to come to room temperature, so they work a little bit easier. I'm going to take them out of my glass bowl here because I'm going to need that in just a second as I separate the eggs. But you take your egg, crack it, drop the egg into the shot glass, and you can kind of hold it with one finger so that the yolk doesn't come out but the egg whites do, and it's still a little bit cold, so the egg whites aren't coming out quite as nicely as they might if they were room temperature, or if you just harvest them, pick them up out of the hen house. So that's basically one egg. And yeah, it does make a little bit of a mess, but it keeps it all in the bowl. First egg, second egg. And again, I'm just kind of holding the egg yolk in the shot glass with my finger, kind of wiggle it around just a little bit. Number 3, can we do 3 in a row? And see, as the egg white's a little bit cold, it doesn't want to come out quite so well, so the longer you leave it in there, the warmer it gets. The easier it is to separate them. And 4, the last and final one. And I find this technique works pretty well because I can actually touch it. I can feel it too. I can put 2 fingers on there and almost turn it upside down. And the little egg yolk doesn't go anywhere and it doesn't bust the egg yolk. See, it's nice and perfect. Put it over in the bowl, and we'll put this over here and set it out of the way for right now. Excuse me for stepping out of the frame there for a second. I had to go ahead and wash my hands. Now the next step is some people just like to use a fork. I prefer using a whisk to whip the eggs. And I just back and forth until I get them nice and incorporated. And they start to turn kind of like white. I'm not going for soft peaks or anything here. I don't want to put a whole lot of air in them, but I want to get enough so that it makes the egg whites and the omelet light and fluffy. There we go. I think that's about it. We'll get a couple of other ingredients out of the refrigerator. They just kind of make things go a little bit quicker. And now I can feel with my hand that the skillet is warmed up. It's not so hot that I can't hold my hand above it, about right here, but I can feel it's hot, and I have a little bit less sensitivity in my hands than maybe some other folks do. Then I'm going to use a little coconut oil as soon as I get a spoon to get that with. Yeah, I guess I could have been better prepared. But hey, we're cooking here. So I'm going to take and get 1 teaspoon out of it. And as the skillet heats up, and it's getting pretty warm, I can tell that by the way that the coconut oil comes loose from my skillet. I'm going to turn that down a little bit, it's too hot. This is real time, boys and girls. With the skillet coming real hot now. If I put my eggs in there, they will cook really quickly. I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. There's plenty of, maybe a little bit more oil in there than I would like, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in there for this demonstration. And I've got the burner turned down on my cooktop. Well, this Jenn-Air thing sometimes is really good, sometimes it's not so good. I have the notches on the knob that I can kind of orientate myself with 3 fingers, and I see there's a little light around it that kind of helps me identify where it's at. It's just a red light that glows underneath the knob. So then I just turn it until I feel it. Then I go from basically 7 o'clock to about 11 noon on my stove. Your stove might be different, but the thing is just play around with it enough so you kind of get an idea how yours works. Now that's it's cooled down some. It's not as cool as I might like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and pour the eggs in and you'll see what happens. It'll go real quick. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the skillet off. And then throw a little cheese in there, just because I like a little cheese. And that might be a little bit more than what I really want. And I can do some of the pre-cooked bacon in there as well. This is just tricks that you can use. It makes it a little bit simpler, and I don't want a whole lot in there. And this is when you can add whatever toppings that you might like. this is when it gets a little bit too hot, your eggs will have a tendency to stick in the stainless steel pan. And nope, I'm not a professional chef. This is not perfect, but this is how easy and how quick it is to make an egg white omelet when you have low vision. And if you'll notice, I'm using the bright stainless steel pan, so it offers me some contrast. I've got a little color on the eggs here, which is a little bit more than what I would normally like. But here we go. We'll just slide that out of the skillet and onto the plate. And although it may not be perfect, I'll set that over there. And if you notice, on my stove, I can feel that it's hot, and there's a little light over here, a little indicator that tells me that there is temperature to the point where if I'm not really careful and I put my hand down there, that would burn. So that, you know, and this, sometimes you might want to just leave the skillet on there so that if you go to sweep your hand across it, you're going to hit the skillet. And there you go. Safety tip, don't get burned. So here's our little omelet. And granted, it's not the most perfect thing in the world, and I'm trying to touch it with my fingers, but I'm sure it will taste good. And hey, sometimes it's just all about being independent, cooking for ourselves and our family. Hey, I believe we all will agree that cooking for our friends, our family, and ourselves is pretty gratifying. You know, it's one of those rewarding experiences that we often crave, especially when you're low vision and you struggle to do things or live independently. And it's my hope. Oh, by the way, my name is Mike Tettleton. Thank you for watching, and thank you for finding the Legally Blind Geek YouTube channel. And in our series, Visually Impaired Cooking Techniques, we try and shed some light on, you know, the challenges that face folks with low vision when it comes to working in the kitchen and cooking food. You know, like the tip using a shot glass to separate the egg whites from the yolks. That's something that I had read about and I had seen done, and until I tried it myself, wasn't really sure whether it would work or not. But it did. I was happy with the results, and it just seemed to stick. And that's after I tried doing the, you know, sorting it between your fingers, you know, crack the egg into one hand and catch the yolk between your fingers and let the whites kind of filter through, which I seem to let the egg yolk filter through as often as I didn't. So that didn't really work for me. Likewise, trying to use a slotted spoon. I tried using the slotted spoon thing, and it seemed like I had limited success with that. And, you know, the shot glass trick just works best for me. And I didn't want to go out and spend extra money on, you know, a kitchen gadget, you know, a egg separator or something like that. That I'd really, after looking, I never really found one that I thought I would like or got good reviews that I'd want to spend money on. And likewise with the spider and those kinds of things, you know, that was not anything I wanted to do. So, hey, the shot glass tricks works for me. Something else might work for you, but shot glass is really pretty easy to do. The next important thing you need to keep in mind, especially when it's how to cook a fluffy egg white omelet, is temperature. To get an egg that's light, fluffy, and tender, and not rubbery, it's pretty important that you maintain a 250, 275 degree cooking temperature in your skillet. Now that's something that you'll just have to kind of play around with on your stove, and it'll get 275, and then the burner will kick off and it'll drop down to 250. You know, none of them are constant. They don't just keep a constant temperature. None of the electric ranges, cooktops will. So each one's different. You just have to play around with yours and see what works best for you, and all will work out fine. I hope you found this video useful. And I'd be interested to hear any comments in the comment section down below that you might have as far as some suggestions, something that you might think would be better, you know, something that might make it a little bit easier. And I don't care what it might be. We can all learn from one another. That's what the community is all about. So in the description down below, I'll be sure and I'll post a few links to some of the devices, kitchen gadgets that I use, that I recommend. Hey, just want to say thanks again for sharing this time with us. This is Mike with the Legally Blind Geek YouTube channel, asking you, please, before you click away, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that notifications bell and click all so that you keep up with all the videos that we'll release in the future on our Visually Impaired Cooking Techniques series. Thanks again. Now, go to the kitchen, cook something.